How you going, guys? Josh from Motorcorp Solutions back again. Got a bit of a recap after tidying up a job last night after sort of on and off over the last sort of 3, maybe 4 months. So we've just finished a EP3 Type R with K-Frank, E85, Gruppe M intake airbox. Excuse me while I get this not wobbling. Gruppe M airbox, 70mm throttle body, skunk ultra street manifold, JDM yard, 4x1 or 4x2x1 K24 clearance headers, and a 2.5-inch exhaust. So when the client first bought the car in a few months back, the client had just recently completed carrying out the K-Frank himself. So called Euro bottom end, or as you guys in the States know them as TSX, K20A2. We know them as K20A3 over here, but same, but different. And then, PRB head, PRB cams, a 50-degree VTC, K20 oil pump. So came in originally, pre-dyno inspection, go over, make sure everything's all good. Everything was all good. Fit a set of RDX injectors in, and then run it up and tune it on K-Pro. So then that's when it all started. So during the tune, originally we were having issues with the ECU dropping in and out intermittently, not accepting, like when you're making changes to the tables, things weren't happening, things were going backwards, things weren't saving, things were smooth 1 minute, you make the same change again and then it was doing something funky. Originally thought it was maybe the injectors because they were like secondhand. And so we got them sent off for cleaning and flow testing and work out all the right dead times for them because what's online is not right. So get that all back in, get it all repopulated in the K profile, and then then we start running it up again. And like some things get better, some things get worse, and hang on as I just try and do this properly. So then it was sort of like, all right, well then how do we work out what's going on next? So then we started having a muck around again, start testing power supply voltage and a couple other bits and pieces, and essentially got to the point where after about an hour of sort of trying this and trying that on the dyno, the ECU just didn't want to do anything. And so we were like, okay, had the client here, he was sort of just hanging out, watching. I allow the owner and one of their mates to hang around while we're tuning, for range prior. So we had the owner here, we're sort of explaining to him as we're going, this is what's happening. And just got to the point where it's like, all right, well, we need to get this ECU out and we need to test it. We need to see, what's happening. So then, I think it was the next day or a couple of days after, got the ECU out, had a look at it all, couldn't find anything internally, but there was some questionable things with the K-Pro install, and it was a fairly old V2. So it was always going to be a bit of a uphill battle, so to speak. It was over like 10 or 12 years old or something, the V2. So it was like, all right, let's have a discussion. We sort of worked out to get Haltech S2 into the car, and then got the plug and play harness, and then also had a chat to him about other future mods and all that sort of stuff. And customer wants to go cams and 3-inch exhaust and other bits and pieces. It's nice street NA build, down the line. So we're like, well, you live local. There's E85 around here. Like, it's 3 horsepower, and it costs the same as 98 half the time, or a little bit cheaper than 98. So if you're not going out on long drives, let's do it for now. We'll get a flex sensor in there anyway, and have the ability to come back and do a proper flex tune later on. But let's get some ethanol up its arse and make some horsepower. So did all that. So then got the flex sensor in, got some engine bay fuel hoses in from Speedflow, got the Bosch LSU 4.9 oxygen sensor in, and also got a Bosch wideband NOx sensor in. And yeah, so then got everything all back on the dyno, sort of ran it all up, and then this is where we sort of finished the first tuning. So, as I said, guys, as I try and get some focus, power, torque, I'll change it over to freedom ponies shortly, but let's talk wagawatts and newton meters for now. So, super happy with how it came out. Nice flat torque band, you know, things just super responsive on the road. You just want to touch the throttle and just wants to drive down the road, and the customer was super happy with it at the end of it all. But we sort of got to a point, you know, like up top here with high cam, sort of, where are we, 7400, 70, so over here we've logged the duty cycle, because we can, with CAN communication, we can log into the dyno and you know, hold some data and to go back and look back on later on. But essentially from, you know, 6600, we're pretty much like on the verge of being out of injector. You know, we're right on the crisp of it. 85%, you know, like maybe 86, 87, you know, but then like up here, you know, like 7400 RPM spiked at 91. I'm pretty sure when the car left, I capped it at about 7000 or 7200 or something, you know, just to give it a bit of breathing room. But essentially at this point, you know, like while we're on factory, you know, returnless fuel system and no way of being able to adjust fuel pressure, we're peak torque's back here at 225 as well. Yeah, no way of being able to adjust fuel pressure. We're a bit limited in what we could do. So then we said to the customer, look, just take it for now, go enjoy, learn the car, go have fun with what you've built, and then, you know, like, let's reconvene, you know, in weeks, months, whatever, you know, when you're ready to take the next step, we're here, let's go. So then I think a couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks after he initially picked it up, the customer reached back out saying, hey, car's starting really hard, you know, it'd gone from hot weather to cold weather, so it sort of warned them, hey, might be some issues with cold start, you know, like as it starts getting colder, E85, but, you know, we'll have a sight if that's the case. So they sort of said, yeah, it's getting a bit hard to start, and it's doing some weird things, we just don't know what's going on. So got the car back in, went over, yeah, there was a little bit of an issue with the cold start, but some road logs sort of showed that the fueling had just was all over the place. It was what I was trying to command was nowhere near what we were trying to, what it was physically achieving, sort of thing. And you know, sort of spoke to the customer and said, you know, I know you've been driving it hard, and you know, we all drive Hondas hard, but have you been bouncing off the rev limiter? Like, what's the go? And it was sort of like, yeah, been bouncing off the limiter a bit as we do, you know, not knocking him. I'll put my hand up and I'll say I do it as well. We are all Honda owners. We all do it, okay? So yeah, like, sort of put it down to, you know, sort of started suspecting that it was maybe potentially valve float. So pulled the rocker cover off, checked the valve clearances, trying to find if, you know, maybe, you know, a clearance has gone loose, a clearance has gone tight, you know, something in the top end is going on. And then, yeah, sort of, I was trying to, you know, have a bit of a sneaking suspicion about it. And going back through, like the graphs, and, you know, like I've got a lot of graphs that, you know, aren't this one, the final one, you know, like part runs, 3/4 runs, all that sort of stuff. And yeah, kept noticing here, you know, like this is the big indicator, but because I was too busy paying attention to the fact that I was out of injector, kinda didn't notice it. So like when the power drops off like this, that means we're getting valve float, you know, like the engine just, the factory valve springs are going soft. There's 30,000 Ks on the chassis. None of us know how much, how many kilometers are on the engine. It's a Honda. Everyone loves to fucking limiter bash. And yeah, so here we are. So yeah, this is sort of like, this is where the spring no longer has control of the valve. And so pretty much like sat down and had the conversation with the customer saying, we need to do valve springs, right? And get them, start getting the valves back under control, get everything mechanically where it should be, and then we'll go from there. So customer opted to do it and do the cylinder head himself, pull it apart, get a machine shop to do it. We supplied a set of Toda valve springs for him, and he also got a set of Blox flat face, the standard size valves, intake and exhaust. I'm pretty sure some bronze guides to go with it, and he had a local machine shop get it all set up for him, and then he's got it back on and got the car rerunning again. So then fast forward to about a week or so ago, had the car back in, and just been a bit flat out here. That's why I've been a bit down on updates. But so we've had the car back in, did the pre-dyno, checked over a couple other bits and pieces, and then so last night we finished the tune, and this is where we ended up. Amazing what happens when you've got one valve control and two the right size injector. So yeah, we got on low cam yesterday, and started mucking around with it, and realized pretty quickly that, hey, this wants to make even more power than last time, and it wants to turn harder than last time. So spoke to the client in the afternoon, got the all clear to go pick up a set of 1100cc long nozzle Bosch injectors, and got them in, and then proceeded to spend the rest of the evening retuning the car, because it's never just a quick couple of setting changes and then it's all done. Ended up having to retune most of the fuel tables and all that, as well as because last time we only went to 7.5, this time we've gone to 8.5. So there was a bucket load of tuning up top that needed to be done as well. So, and then just rechecking other back end settings and getting some transient and cold start and all that sort of stuff sorted along the way. So with now we're turning it out to the way it drops off here. That's actually when we hit the rev limiter on the Haltech, the soft ignition cut. But pretty much from here the whole way down, don't know why it's not showing the RPM number here, but yeah, RPM's here. So pretty much from 80 to 8400 all the way back to where's this 7,000. So that's a 1600 RPM window where it's within 8 or 10 kilowatts of each other, and that out on the road, it just makes your life so much easier, or on the track, being able to know that up here it's just easy. And then because torque is so flat along here, and then we make a nice little bit of a chunk as the intake, the Ultra Street sort of starts to shine again. Yeah, because it's making so much torque down here, and then up here it's just effortless. So then when you get to 8200 or wherever you're going, and then you drop back down, you're in this big chunk of power here and big chunk of torque, and life's just good. So here's the direct comparison with it. So we can see here, obviously red is now the first tuning session. Down a little bit, making a bit more here now, sort of making a bit more here, and then pretty much from, where's this, 56, 5700, the rest of the way through. If you watch the torque numbers here, they just keep climbing. And it also carries the torque for a lot longer now. We're not crashing off, and that means we're making power efficiently, which is what we want. So then, yeah, got the car back to the client last night. He's reported back to me today saying that super happy with the changes. You know, valve springs and injectors have made a huge difference for drivability, and part throttle and all that sort of stuff as well. So yeah, super impressed. And just before we go, I thought I'd give you just another little hot tip here. Food for thought for those who do want to go cams on a K series. We hire out our dyno to either other tuners or end users who want to do their own tuning themselves. And one of the partner tuners that we work with, they were in recently, and this is a K Frank. I'm not going to name the car or any of that sort of stuff, but just give you a loose rundown on everything. So it's a K20A2 bottom end as well, K20 head, Toda A3 cams. I can't remember if it's RBC or RRC intake manifold, J37 throttle body, and then 4-2-1 headers and 3-inch exhaust. But this one's on 98. But it's just interesting to see the torque differences here. Obviously, the cams are always going to make a bit more up top, but we're damn close here. And let me just bring this up. So this will be a bit easier for you to see. So this is the difference in torque through here. So over here at this is about 2800. There is if you look here, there's about a 55 Newton meter difference between the factory cams of E85 and the A3 cams on 98, which is quite interesting. So just remember that when you start going bigger in cams, you drop this way and you go up this way and you lift that way, which is what you can sort of see with the torque here. But yeah, other than that, I think it's some food for thought for us to look at for cams for this combination anyway. But I think I'll leave it there for now. And like, subscribe. We'll have some more videos coming soon. I've got plenty of content on the way. Yeah, enjoy.